Welcome to the Comfy Chairs, a podcast from 123 Limited. I'm Kate, and today I'm sharing a comfyHQ segment where we dive deep into real-world challenges leaders face every day. In today's episode, we'll explore how to effectively motivate your team through tough times, manage burnout, and handle the stress that comes with constant change. From practical advice on clear communication and understanding team dynamics, to preventing burnout by addressing its root causes, we'll equip you with the tools you need to lead with purpose and care. What are the most effective ways to motivate a team during tough times? All of our questions today involve this central idea, leading through challenges, which is kind of the norm these days. But when the challenge is especially daunting, there's some simple steps you can take. In fact, the most effective action a leader can take happens before the times get tough or a new challenge arises. It's to get to know your people. Motivation is ultimately deeply individual, so knowing employees' preferences and unique sources of motivation is key. That being said, I'm not a fan of leading by cheerleading. I think most motivational efforts, those that try to inspire or invoke emotion, are a waste of time. If you spend your energy trying to get the team ramped up or building buy-in, well, you're less likely to get the results you want. Instead, focus on clear expectations and invest your time and energy in consistent and clear communication that connects individual tasks to the greater purpose. We are far more likely to strive and to feel motivation when we understand and believe in the purpose of our work than when we're subjected to a go team approach. While motivation is personal and can be based on a variety of nuanced, intrinsic, and extrinsic factors, we do know that purpose is one of the common elements. Along with autonomy and mastery, purpose supports motivation. This is why knowing your team matters so much. It allows you to effectively communicate about purpose to the individual, to speak in a way and with words they hear and accept. It also sets the stage for providing the right level of autonomy for each person, and it means you know each employee's skills and strengths so that you can guide them to mastery. So when times are tough, communicate clearly and consistently about expectations. Help each person on your team see the purpose behind what they need to do. Ensure employees have the right level of autonomy while still offering support, and provide any necessary training and resources they need to master each task. This is how you can create a motivating environment that will weather even the toughest challenges. What can I do when change fatigue is affecting my team's performance? First, we need to acknowledge that any significant change will impact performance. Sometimes even the ones we perceive as small will disrupt our day-to-day operations more than we could predict. So, start with this understanding to manage your own expectations about the team's ability to perform. If you're in the midst of massive and ongoing change, one right after another, and sometimes all at once, you have to accept that performance will dip. It's inevitable. So are you being reasonable about the team's actual productivity during this time of transition and uncertainty? If you haven't considered this question yet, it's time to. If your expectations are reasonable and you've accounted for how one or more changes will affect your team, but you're still seeing unexpectedly poor results, increased errors, or another indicator of underperformance, then you need to do some straightforward performance management. Provide direct, compassionate feedback, offer coaching to explore what barriers people have encountered, and reset and confirm understanding of your expectations. If you reflect on how reasonable you're being during this period of ambiguity and realize that you have missed the mark, you do have an opportunity. Talk with your team to understand where they're having the most trouble completing work or meeting goals. Evaluate what tasks can be paused or reimagined to free up time, effort, or other resources so people can focus on priorities. Be humble and admit that you may have unintentionally contributed to the situation. But to avoid being in a position where you have to react to fatigue and to dip in performance, prepare yourself and the team before too many changes stack up. Consider your overall change capacity, the quantity and intensity of change you and your team can accommodate before performance drops below an acceptable level. Pay attention to company goals and initiatives to understand what new assignments or priorities might come your way. Talk with your direct manager about how the team is currently handling any changes that are underway, and ask for guidance about how to incorporate potential new changes. Talk with your team candidly about what parts of the work you all do that can't be negatively impacted by change. Identify where you are able to offer grace when performance doesn't achieve pre-change levels. Keep communication open and invite your team's input at every opportunity. You can't stop change, but you can prepare, plan, and adapt with your employees to ensure you avoid fatigue and maintain your progress, and all feel like you're doing good work. How can I spot and prevent burnout in myself and others? There's a lot of wonderful wisdom about preventing and minimizing both the causes and effects of burnout. But here's the thing. The conversation about burnout in recent years has focused on prevention or recovery, not on making the changes to our environment that could remove it entirely. I should probably back up and define my terms. Since the National Institutes of Health uses the term exhausted, listless, and unable to cope to describe burnout, I will adopt that definition here. So in this context, prevention is like putting on armor to avoid the existing harm, stress. Finally, recovery is the steps one takes to get back to where they started, not burned out. By focusing on prevention and recovery, it's like we're telling ourselves burnout is inevitable. It has me picturing people all swaddled up in bubble wrap because they're about to take a tumble down the stairs. They may get bruised, but no bones will be broken. The real issue here isn't the bruises, it's the fall. In other words, our underlying problem isn't our stress, it's what is causing our stress. Let's take busyness. When my job was eliminated in early 2023, the first few weeks were hard in no small part because I didn't have places to go and things to do. I had a lot of free time, and it was actually kind of awful. But when I started to detox, the awfulness faded. I slept better than I had in years. I had time to tackle projects around the house. I would run into former colleagues out and about, and the first thing everyone would say is, "You look really good." This was because I was able to disconnect from the stress and demand of always being busy. But how much better if the expectation to be eternally occupied had never existed? I am not naive. Stress is part of life. In fact, it can be a good thing for us when it comes from the right sources and in the right amounts. What is not good is the attitude that people need to adapt to constant stress, and again, that burnout is inevitable. That being said, you asked how you can spot the potential for burnout. Common indicators include changes in performance, increased call-offs, and even unexpected turnover. These are quantitative elements, but some qualitative factors can point to individual or team burnout too. Pay attention to the atmosphere in your department. Are people not laughing as much? Does it seem like there are more disagreements or misunderstandings? At the end of the day, the surest way to assess whether or not members of your team are heading to burnout is to keep in touch with them. Beyond talking about their work, ask people how they're feeling about their jobs, workloads, and productivity. Use your one-on-ones and team meetings to gauge people's energy and engagement. Be bold and ask if they feel even a little amount of burnout. Keeping your concerns for their mental and physical well-being, not just their performance, as a part of the ongoing conversation ensures your team can be open and honest when they do feel overwhelmed. That's all for this comfyHQ installment of the Comfy Chairs. Remember, effective leadership isn't about avoiding stress or preventing burnout entirely, but about creating an environment where your team can thrive despite challenges. Stay connected, keep the lines of communication open, and most importantly, and always, lead with empathy and understanding. Thanks for listening. If you've got a question you'd like me to explore on a future episode, I'd love to hear from you. You can send it my way using the link in the show notes. And if this conversation gave you a clearer view of the kind of leader you want to be, I'd love to invite you to subscribe to my newsletter. You'll find a second link for that also in the show notes. Next week, I'll be back in the Comfy Chairs with a conversation about leadership development for students. See you then.